In today's video, we're going to get into new Black book releases. I have 9 books. I'm going to be reading the synopsis. I'll also let you know if or not I'm interested in the book and the date it comes out. So let's get into it. My name is Raquel. I talk about all things Black books. Welcome and welcome back. So the first book is Kin by Tayeri Jones. It comes out on February 24th. It says a magnificent new novel from the best-selling, award-winning author of An American Marriage. Tayeri Jones has written an unforgettable novel that sparks with wit and intelligence and deeply feeling about two long-lost friends whose worlds converge after many years apart in the face of a devastating tragedy. Vernice and Annie, two motherless daughters raised in Honeysuckle, Louisiana, have been best friends and neighbors since earliest childhood, but are fated to live starkly different lives. Raised by a fierce aunt determined to give her a stable home in the wake of her mother's death, Bernice leaves Honeysuckle at 18 for Spelman College, where she joins a sisterhood of powerfully connected Black women and discover a world of affluence, manners, aspiration, and inequality. Annie, abandoned by her mother as a child and fixated on the idea of finding her and filling the bottomless hole left by her absence, sets off on a journey that will take her into a world of peril and adversity, as well as love and adventure, culminating in a battle for her life. The novel about mothers and daughters, friendships, and sisterhood, and the complexities of being a woman in the American South. Ken is an exuberant, emotionally rich, unforgettable work from one of the brightest and most irresistible voices in contemporary fiction. I am definitely going to be reading this book. I cannot wait for it to come out. Next, we have On Morse. It is by Namwali Sirwell. It comes out on February 16th. It says, an illuminating, electrifying exploration of the work of Toni Morrison by an award-winning novelist and Harvard professor. Sirwell puts Morris' genius on full display. This will enthrall Morris fans. It says, filled with unique analyses, deep dives, and an intellectual intellectual playfulness that Morris herself so valued. This book will stand as one of the most important 21st century works on the great American writer, Armani Perry, author of South to America. Toni Morrison, Nobel laureate and one of the most beloved writers, has inspired generations of readers. But her artistic genius is often overshadowed by her monumental public persona. Perhaps because, as Normwali Serpel puts it, she's she is our only true canonical Black female writer, and her work is highly complex. In On More, Serpwell brings her unique experience as both an award-winning writer and a professor who teaches a course on Morrison to illuminate her masterful experiment with literary form. This is Morrison as you've never encountered before, a journey through her, I don't know, some French word. I'm not even going to try because I don't know French. I can't read French, so I don't know. Um, Her fiction and criticism, as well as her lesser known dramatic works and poetry, with contextual guidance and original close reading, at once accessible and uncompromisingly rigorous. On Morrison is a primer not only on how to read one of the most significant American authors of all time, but also on how to read great works of literature in general. This dialogue on the page between the two Black women, artist reader, is stylish, edifying, and thrilling in its scope of intelligence. Um, I probably won't read that. But I have read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, and there are a couple of more books that I want to read by her. I just have not gotten into it, and I do have a couple of her books. Next, we have Keeper of Lost Children by Sadiqa Johnson. Comes out on February 10th. It says, in this new novel from New York Times bestselling author House of Eve, one of American women's vision in post-World War II Germany will tie together three people in an unexpected way. Ethel Gathers, the proud wife of an American officer, is living in occupied Germany in the 1950s. After discovering a local orphanage filled with the abandoned mixed race children of German women and Black American GIs, Ethel feels compelled to help these children find homes. Philadelphia-born Ozzie Phillips volunteers for the recent desegregation army in 1948, eager to make his mark on the world while serving in Mannheim. What is wrong with me? While serving in Mannheim, Germany, he meets a local woman, Jelka, and the two embark on a relationship that will impact their lives forever. In 1965, Maryland, Sophia Clark is given an opportunity to attend a prestigious all-white boarding school and escape her heartless parents. While at school, she discovers a secret that upends her world and sends her on a quest to unravel her own identity. Toggling between the lives of these three individuals, Keeper of Lost Children explores how one woman's vision will change the course of countless lives and demonstrate that love, in its myriad of forms, familial, parental, or forbidden, even love of self, can be transcended. Yes, I am definitely looking forward to reading Keeper of Children. And next we have Where the False Gods Dwell. It's by Denny S. Bryce. It comes out on February 24th. It says, inspired by real legendary choreographer Katherine Dunham, groundbreaking expedition into the heart of Caribbean dance culture. This uniquely captivating novel imagines that experiences of three very different women who accompany her, hoping to find their destinies, yet finding themselves forced to survive a historic event. Excuse me. Chicago, 1935. Othello is an orphan con artist who needs to escape the city's brutal underworld, or else. Vivian Jean is a wealthy wife, student, and anthropologist eager to prove herself professionally and personally. Zenzi is a Jamaican labor union activist determined to bring change to her homeland's plantation system. Thanks to a series of fortunate mishaps and coincidences, all three join Dunham's voyage to the Malcolm village of accompanying in Jamaica's Cockpit County, and perhaps discover they desperately want most, and perhaps discover what they desperately want most. Through skill and curiosity, Othello becomes a valued member of the expedition. Even as she struggles to conceal her past, Zenzi knowledge of the cockpit allows the expedition to explore uncharted territory, even as a forbidden love and fierce resistance threaten everything she seeks to protect. As Vivian Jean observations help Dunham make unprecedented discovery, she grapples with her second husband's guilt and accusation. Yet, amidst their private battle, nature presents an even greater challenge. When a deadly storm bears down on the island, imperiling the woman's mission and their lives, they must form an unlikely sisterhood. To survive, they will need each other more than anyone or anything they've ever needed. Yes, that sounds really good to me. Next, which is number 5, we have First Freedom. The story of Opal Lee and Juneteenth comes out on February 10th. It says the incredible journey of activist Opal Lee, known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. This brought to life in this biographical graphic novel that not only explores Opal's remarkable path, but the history of the holiday of Juneteenth itself. So this is a graphic novel, and I did not realize that at first. I just found the book to be interesting because it was talking about Juneteenth. It says from the 1860s to Miss Opal's childhood home, from her years as a teacher to the White House, First Freedom, the story, the story of Opal Lee and Juneteenth seeks to give readers an insight on the history behind the central figure in the creation of America's newest federal holiday, Juneteenth. Born in 1926, Opal Lee grew up in a racially divided America and dedicated her life to overcoming the obstacles presented therein. A lifelong educator, Miss Opal has been a community activist all her life and would take on the movement to celebrate and commemorate Juneteenth not just as a holiday, but as a symbol of comprehensive freedom for all people. Miss Opal's life personifies the fight for everyday freedom that leads to lasting change. As the grandmother of Juneteenth says, there's so much more to do. Written by acclaimed journalist, producer, and author Angelique Roche. Um, Even though this is a graphic novel, I still think it's interesting. It blew me away. Like a few years ago when Juneteenth became a national holiday and people didn't know what Juneteenth was. I've celebrated Juneteenth all my life. Even when I lived and grew up in Los Angeles, there were so many places we used to go for festivals like Leimert Park and Expedition Park. There's places we would go and celebrate Juneteenth. They would have tables and kente cloth and all different types of foods and games. I loved it. I went there until I was at least about 19 years old. But it's for adults and children, and I know they still do it in Leimert Park. I don't know about Expedition Park, but I always loved Juneteenth. So next we have The Four Johnsons. This one is by Christian Hammonds Reed. It comes out on February 3rd. It says, a 1960s teen pop group determined to conquer the music world must contend with the cost of fame and a ghost with a grisly past in this riveting family story from the New York Times bestseller of The Black Kids. My favorite kind of, no, I'm not reading that. Anyway, Odysseus Johnson dreams of musical stardom for his three sons. Roman, the rebel, more interested in being a teenager than a performer. Rocco, arguably the most talented of the bunch, but different in a way that the world doesn't understand. And Dutiful River, the youngest, who dreams of fame, just like his dad. Driving from another failed audition in Detroit, the Johnson boys encounters the ghost of Christmas Jones III, an effervescent, if lonely, little boy who carries the scars of his historic past as an orphan and a minstrel sensation. Desperate for family, Christmas begs the Johnson to bring him home with them. When Odysseus refused, Christmas stows away in the family Cadillac. Despite their initial horror, Christmas becomes a part of the Johnson family. With the promise of opportunities in California, Odysseus moves the family out west, and the boys' talents start getting noticed. But just as the brothers are finally on the cusp of fame, Christmas commits a violent act that wreaks havoc on the Johnsons' lives, and the family is torn asunder in the aftermath. Roman flees the country, Rocco is institutionalized, and Rivers' solo star rises. Christmas disappears, spanning decades. roving from the rapacious music industry and the ravages of Vietnam to the dark corridors of the mental institution and the very plains of the afterlife. The Johnson Fort is epic in scope, and at its beating heart is the unforgettable story of a family trying to find their way back to one another. That sounds pretty good. That's maybe. And then next we have Where the Wild Flowers Grow. This one is by Tara Shelton Harris. Comes out on February 17th. Tara Shelton Harris wrote one of my favorite books, which is what is the name of that book? Can't think of it right this minute, but yeah, she wrote one of my favorite books. So, yes, I'm definitely looking forward to this. It says, Lay is the last of the Wilds. She knows this because she watched them all die. Grief never truly fades, and even as the tragedy haunts her, Lay carries on because survival is in her blood. So when the transport bus that's taking her to prison careens off the road, killing everybody on board except her, she does what's in her nature. She survives. While searching for a place to hide, Leah, or Lay, whatever her name is, stumbles into an unexpected sanctuary, a flower farm in rural Alabama tucked away from the world. What Lay doesn't expect is the found family where the found family there who have built something from the wreckage of their own lives, especially Jackson, the farm's owner, who sees through Lay's defenses, offers her a small moment of tenderness, encourage her to face her own tragedy. Slowly, place slowly, Lay finds peace with the hard pace and soft nature of the farm, taking comfort in the life blooming around her. Maybe she's not beyond redemption, not too broken for something good, and maybe, just maybe, Lace starts to heal. But the past isn't so easily buried. No matter how far she runs, the truth of who she is and the ghosts of the wilds follow. And when those secrets catch up to her, threatening everything she's come to love, Lay will have to truly face what she can survive. Here is a vibrant story that celebrates self expression and imagination, perfect for any young artist who sees the world in different and interesting ways, encouraging reads to explore their creativity and share their ideas with pride. Next, we have In the Heart of Stonecrest by Danielle Brooks, comes out on February 17th. It says, Small towns never forget, and secrets don't stay buried for long. 2 months after Christmas shattered everything Vanessa Bell thought she knew, Stonecrest is quiet on the surface but restless underneath. Love has been tested, loyalties are fractured, and the truth everyone's been dancing around is demanding to be seen. Vanessa is trying to protect her heart while standing on the edge of a future she no longer sure she wants. Jericho Henderson is fighting for the woman who he loves while facing the possibility his past could change forever. And Daphne's hands are covered with all of the muck as old memories resurface through revealing flashbacks, long held assumptions being on crack, a child's permanent a child's paternity hangs in the balance. Family lines blurred, and when an unexpected emergency pulls everyone together, the lies unravel faster than anyone is prepared for. In season 2 of The Heart of Stonecrest, love is no longer innocent. Choices carry consequences, and the truth isn't whispered, it explodes. Because in Stonecrest, the heart always remembers, and the truth always comes home. I find it strange they have this. It looks like a Christmas book. I just find it a little strange that they have a Christmassy looking cover. in February, but it is a part 2, so I'm definitely not interested. Last but not least, we have Inharmonious by Tammy Huff. Comes out on February 3rd. It says a compelling love story inspired by the author's own family history set in segregated South during and after World War II. Perfect for fans of Kristen Hanna's The Woman and Britt Bennett's The Vanishing Half. When three young black men enlist in the army, hoping to serve their country with honor, their lives are forever changed. When Pearl Harbor is attacked in 1941, Cora brothers Benny rush to enlist against the wishes of Cora and her mother. Available to pass as white due to his pale skin and light eyes, Benny reports to duty only to realize he's been mistakenly enlisted as a white man in a racially segregated military. Lee has friends with Benny. Lee has been friends with Benny ever since he was a troubled teenager, and he's been sweet on Cora for nearly as long. When Lee enlists without telling Cora, she is heartbroken and feels betrayed by the man she expects to spend the rest of her life with. Meanwhile, family friends Roscoe, encouraged by Benny, offers to marry Cora in order to ensure that she and her mother, who both remain home, will be provided for should Benny not make it back. Benny does return, but his new white identity leaves him struggling to find his place in between in a country that only sees race as America promises post-war prosperity to white veterans through the GI Bill. Black soldiers are excluded. While the war may be over, the fight has only just begun for Cora, Lee, Benny, and Roscoe. Yes, that definitely sounds interesting. I don't know why he just didn't say, hey, I's black. No. But yeah, that sounds really good. Let me see, who is that by again? Tammy Huff. I'm not really familiar with Tammy Huff, but that is the 9 new releases. And I have another 9 books, which I'm going to do in a separate video. I think 9 books is enough. I did not want to overwhelm anyone, especially not me. My mouth is super dry right now. So did you find any books in here interesting that you think you might read? I think I found at least 5 good ones I think I'm going to read. Let me know what you're planning to read in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and do all of the YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time, see you soon.